Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylee, for those of you that don't know me, and for those of you that do, hello, good to see you again. Today I'm going to be doing a mid-month check-in. For the past almost 2 years, I have been using the Every Dollar app and website, which is Dave Ramsey's budgeting system, which I really like. And I'm going to continue to use it because I really like tracking transactions in there. But I actually this week created my own spreadsheet. So I'm really excited about it. I think it is so beautiful. I'm going to show it to you in this video. I just created it. I spent a lot of time on it, but I just created it. And so if you see something that you think, hey, she's missing that, or I think this would really benefit from this, totally let me know. I would love to know what you think I'm missing or what could be benefited by having it in there. Our expenses are pretty heavily weighed to the first half of the month, so a lot of what we pay for in the month have already been paid for. My husband gets paid on the 15th and the 30th, and so I actually use the 30th of the previous month as sort of like the first paycheck of the month that we're currently in. So his 30th paycheck from May is sort of like as if he was paid on the 1st of June. So he's now been paid 30th and the 15th, and so we've received all of our income for the month, as well as I received my CERB payment. Since we've received all of the money we're going to receive this month, and actually a ton of our expenses have been used already, let's jump into my budget. So here I am on the Every Dollar app. So I had actually budgeted $2,000 for my husband's salary, and luckily enough, it was a little bit more than that. So we've got an extra $75 to play with. You can see here we have $187 left to budget. I know I'm supposed to do a zero-based budget, but I do like to have that little window there. If you don't know about a zero-based budget, it just means that you are placing every dollar that you receive. So instead of like I have leaving $187 that are just like floating that could very easily disappear without any thought, instead you are making sure that every dollar is in a budget line item. So that can be savings. So a lot of people have like a miscellaneous category, and then they can just put their extra dollars there. So it does end up with a zero-based budget. I don't think Dave Ramsey likes that, but whatever. So I'm actually just going to jump over to my spreadsheet here, and I'm going to zoom it in a little bit. So this is my spreadsheet that I've created. So I've got the planned, the actual, and then in that balance category, that's showing me more or less. And so in my expenses, especially in my variable expenses here, that's showing me how much I have left to spend. So I really am using this in tandem with the Every Dollar app, because in the Every Dollar app, you can see here on groceries, I've tracked the purchases and it's giving me my total spent. So I then put that total spent number into the groceries and I can see how much I have left to spend. But let's start at the top here. So with the income, I have planned and the actual is a bit more. So what I am going to do, and it shows me that green, yay, we got more than we were expecting number, but I'm actually going to change the planned amount to what it ended up being, just so that I can make sure I do get that zero-based budget. So I'm going to put 207.5.24. Okay, so there we go. So now it's $0, and now the planned and the actual total income amounts are the same. A lot of our fixed expenses have come out. A lot of those smaller ones are all that we're waiting on. The tithe, you can see that there is $100 spent and $100 remaining. I'm not planning to keep that $100. We do half of it to our church and half of it to our local food bank right now. And so the part that goes to the local food bank comes out auto-drafted actually out of my credit card. And so I have that $100 set aside to pay off the credit card once that charge comes out, but we're still waiting for that charge to come out. Most of these charges that are actually here, other than Netflix, come out in the first week of the month. So tons of our expenses come out almost immediately once the month starts, which is why I'm sort of a month ahead in our bills account. So we're not expecting any surprises with fixed expenses. They are fixed after all, so they don't change month to month. I know exactly how much that part of our budget will cost us no matter what. It is in variable expenses where I'm getting a little bit nervous because this grocery amount is looking, we don't have much left to spend. So typically we shop sort of right around payday, so around the 1st/30th of the month and then the 15th-ish of the month. And that means that we have not yet done our second shop of the month, and we do not have much money left to spend. So we're going to have to be very strategic to stay within that budget. I actually even already sort of stole from Peter to give from John. This $15 charge in the entertainment budget is actually money I spent on groceries already. So it's going to be a hard month. We hadn't shopped for a month. We kind of did ourselves in by not shopping regularly, and so I think I've learned my lesson that it doesn't work. Even though I try to say, oh, I'll save money by doing this, it hasn't worked so far. I also actually bumped up our gas budget. In my last video, I said that I was budgeting $75, but as you can see, we've already spent $51, and that's about how much it takes to fill up our tank. We've got a huge tank and a not very gas efficient car, which is very sad. So I think we'll probably for sure have to do another fill in the car, and that costs about $50. So I bumped that up to $100, just might as well be realistic, and we had room in the budget. So I still have actually, in every dollar, I have this item that's gardening currently, and it has $20. In my budget, I just made that household. I figured I can have the nuance to know that right now that means gardening, and also, you know, if we needed it to go somewhere else, then it's available to go somewhere else. And I have this miscellaneous, like I said, a lot of people do that. I haven't entered anything in there, and I'm hoping to not have to enter anything in there. But who knows? So I did create this debt section, and I'm not sure totally how it's going to work because, as you can see, I haven't entered anything in there. I don't have a credit card debt that I'm working on. I just put in credit card there, just sort of to have some spot fillers there. My husband and I do both have student loans, and it is quite a high debt. But we're not working on those right now because we are in a grace-free... This gets me every time. Got me in the last one too. We're not paying those off right now because we are in an interest-free grace period because of the coronavirus. And so I have been saving money to pay off towards our student loans. And in September, I will pay that. Hopefully while it goes exclusively to principal would be awesome. And so it does end September 31st, this 6-month interest-free period. And so I will... probably closer to that time, I will start filling this in. And like I said, because I haven't really used this, I'm not sure totally how the equations that are in there will work or how using it will work. But hopefully as I use it, then I'll figure out the kinks in there. So then is our savings and sinking, which we do a lot of, as you can see. So I didn't really talk very much about these sinking funds in my last video, and I don't think I'm going to talk that much about them in this video either because I want to do a video just about that. Let me know if you do want that. Sinking funds have been life-changing, honestly. That sounds like an exaggeration, and it's totally not. I find myself getting caught up in what's fair to my budget line items, which is ridiculous. But, so you'll notice that we do have a meat category here. So I always felt like if you buy a big package of meat, that might take you more than a month to eat. We try not to eat that much meat. We have maybe 2 to 3 dinners a week that are meat meals. Some weeks it's more and some weeks it's less, but we try to not eat very much meat. So if we buy a big package of meat, it could last us 2 or 3 months. We freeze it, obviously. It could last us 2 or 3 months. So it never felt fair to me that May's budget should have to pay for this meat that's gonna last 2 months, 3 months. Those budgets should have to pay too. So instead we've made a sinking fund about it. So there's lots of things in here that you'll see that's kind of been my thinking. That's the only one that's really most people would consider a grocery. But back to the top. We don't need to talk about the second to last thing yet. So our emergency fund. Dave Ramsey says in his baby steps, which we're clearly not following, but he says to have $1,000 emergency fund. Then when the virus started, everyone was like, that's clearly not a big enough emergency fund. And so we got ours up to $3,000, and I feel pretty comfortable leaving it there. That's on an extremely bare bones budget. That could get us through a month. But as you can see, we do have other money sitting around. So if we did both lose our jobs, we had no source of income, we could pull from all these other places and we could survive a good few months. We have left it at $3,000. I would probably like to figure out what our 3 to 6 month amount is and get it there eventually, but probably we have to focus on debt pay down first, like the baby steps say to do. In my last video, I talked about our goals, our financial goals for the next 12 months. And one of those I mentioned was a trip to Asia. So when everything started shutting down, we were just below $5,000, and I thought this really isn't a priority right now. And so we just topped it up to $5,000 and we've just left it like that. Obviously you need more than $5,000 for 2 people to go to Asia, especially because I want to go to quite a few places in Asia. So once I'm back employed and once we figure out what our budget will look like with 2 full-time incomes instead of what we have now, then we'll figure out how much we want to put towards what, and we'll start saving towards that again. So you'll notice that I have beginning balance, ending balance, and then a goal amount. And then here in this final category, it says how much until you reach your goal. So I made a goal to save as much of our CERB money as possible. I put $5,000 here because I'm hopeful that I'll have a job before the next period, and that way I won't be getting the CERB anymore. So this could be our last contribution to that savings. As well as with student loans, a specific student loan saving I made, I really want to have $2,000 saved there too. So you can see that we're $600 away from reaching that goal. This month we were able to put $650 in there, so I'm really hopeful that we can put another $600 in there and have, if we reach that goal, $7,000 to put towards our student loans, which is crazy. Although I will keep some of that CERB amount because it is taxable, and so I don't actually want to end up owing when I could have just saved that money. So I'm going to probably hold back $1,000. So having $6,000 to put to our student loans in 1 month does still feel pretty good. So this miscellaneous savings, we probably need to discuss what we're going to do with that. Maybe a bunch of it will get moved into that vacation fund. A lot of that is actually our tax return from this last year and some Christmas gifts. So money that was given sort of to both of us, we just sort of have been sitting on, and we've bought a few things, like we bought a barbecue and some stuff for our kitchen. But we're just sitting on that money. And so I thought I was going to call it like a slush fund. And then I looked up what a slush fund was. And I was like, maybe I don't want to call it that.
I just googled what slay means. What the heck? I do not kill people. I promise I do not slay.
So that money is just TBD on how we're going to spend it. Again, so that could really be considered part of our emergency fund. There could be a lot of things there. I had originally said that I was going to put $200 into that, and then I was like, why though? So I did put $100 there, and that sort of gives me $100 to put somewhere else. I'm not sure where. So at the bottom of each category, it is totaled and subtotaled. So here you can see our total income. And then the next category, this is the total fixed expenses amount, and this is the total remaining. So it's as if you're doing like one of those budget worksheets where at the end of each category, you subtract it from your income, and then you know how much you have to spend in the next category. And so here you can see that I have $187 left to play with. So I do need to figure out where I'm going to put that money. I might try to have some of that go into like a rollover category so that it is sort of like a cushion in our bank account rather than spending. So I do have this $187 left to spend. This $635 will, once all of our expenses come out, get down to $187, but I'd like for it to get down to $0. So I think what we will do, let's put another $50 here. So what I like about having planned and actual is that you're not tracking money until you've actually moved it. So I'm going to move $50 from my spending account to a savings account that has this student loan money in there. And so I'm not tracking that before I've actually done that. So that's why the actual is going to stay at $650. When I later go and I move that money, I will make it say $700. So $137. I mean, I think it's pretty likely that we're going to go over at least a little bit in groceries. I'm going to put $100 in this miscellaneous. I didn't really want to use it, but I'm going to. So that leaves us with $37. You know, I think I'm just going to put $137.77 in there. And that way it's just sort of waiting for us to use it. So I might end up moving that somewhere else, but it's accounted for. We know that it's extra above what we have. but it's sort of like a cushion in case we need it. So I feel comfortable leaving it like that. So we've given every dollar a purpose, even though some of those dollars, their purpose is, we'll see what the purpose is. So that is our June mid-month check-in. It's almost kind of like an end of the month check-in because we have so few expenses left, but technically it's mid-month. I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at. I am concerned about groceries. I'm glad we gave our gas a little bit more. I feel good about our savings for sure. You might have noticed we have quite a bit of savings, and honestly, in January we probably had like $5,000 in savings aside from sinking funds. We've really made a lot of progress in our savings, and like I said, a lot of it's going to be spent in September. So we've been especially lucky that I've been able to get the CERB after I was laid off, and that we have such a low cost of living here. So that concludes my June mid-month budget check-in and my introduction of my new beautiful spreadsheet. If you like this video, I would love for you to subscribe or like it. I'd love to talk with you in the comments. If you have any suggestions for me about this spreadsheet, how to make it better, how to improve it, if you're thinking you're missing a section, or if you see something that you think, if I made a spreadsheet, I would love for that to be in there, let me know and I'll see if I can make it work. So I think I've decided on 1 video a week for right now. I might bump that up to 2 if I just happen to have another thing that I'm excited about filming. But for right now, I'm going to stick with 1 video a week. So I'm posting on Mondays, and I would love for you to subscribe and to get those videos in your subscriptions box every week. But if you're not, then at least you know if you come back here on Monday afternoon, there's probably going to be a video. So I look forward to seeing you again and to talking with you in the comments and to working on my spreadsheet and making it better. And I'll see you next week. Bye.